Read on. Classification of solutions based on osmotic pressure. Classification of solutions based on osmotic pressure. So based on osmotic pressure, solutions are classified into three types. Take down. Based on osmotic pressure, solutions are classified into three types. So what are the three types? One, isotonic solution. Question can be expected based on isotonic, even numerical question also. Two, hypertonic solutions. Three, hypotonic solution. Okay. So this is the classification of solution based on osmotic pressure. Let's study one by one. So first one is isotonic solution. Right, the name itself giving meaning. Iso means same. Tonic means pressure. Osmotic pressure. Here wait. Tonic is nothing but pressure. So isotonic, same osmotic pressure. So therefore, what are isotonic solution? The solutions which are having same osmotic pressure at given temperature, right? So therefore, the solutions which are having, take down, same osmotic pressure the solution which are having same osmotic pressure at given temperature called isotonic solutions. Okay, right. So can we write for isotonic solution pi 1 is equals to pi 2? Okay, but we know that, take down, we know that pi equal to C RT. So RT are R and T are constant. T is a temperature. It is the same temperature. R is a constant. Therefore, tell me, pi should be, these two are constant now. Then pi should be directly proportional to C. That means here important, when pi 1 equal to pi 2, C1 also equal to C2. So what is the meaning of this? If any two solutions having same osmotic pressure, they should have same molar concentrations. That means isotonic solutions will have same osmotic pressure, whether they have same molar concentration or not. Yes. So next point is isotonic solutions will have same osmotic pressure. No, sorry, same molar concentration. Isotonic solutions will have same molar concentration, that is C1 equal to C2. But we also know that C equal to N by V. So therefore, can we write N1 by V1 is equals to N2 by V2? Where what is N1 and V1? N1 is number of moles of substance 1. N2 is number of moles of substance 2. V1 is volume of substance 1, volume of substance 2. So therefore, N1 equal to number of moles of substance 1, N2 equal to number of moles of substance 2, volume of substance 1, V2 equal to volume of substance 2. Okay, then so this is one more formula. It is equation 1, equation 2, equation 3. Okay, but sometime V1 and V2 they may give the same volumes. Suppose if V1 equal to V2, the volume of two substances are same. Tell me, if V1 equal to V2, then this can be removed. That means it become N1 equal to N2. This is one more formula. Okay, but we also know that N1 is equals to weight of the substance by molecular weight of the substance, weight of the substance 2 by molecular weight of the substance 2. This is most important. Question previously appeared. Okay, so these are the different formulas related to isotonic solutions. Okay, take one question here. Take one question. 2% of aqueous urea solution isotonic with 2% of aqueous urea solution is isotonic with 5% of non-aqueous non-electrolyte solution. 5% of aqueous non-electrolyte solution. Calculate the molar mass of non-electrolyte. Calculate the molar mass of non-electrolyte. Yeah, see here it's very simple. Here given that 2% urea solution is isotonic with 5% non-electrolyte. There are two substances. When there are two substances, one is a 2%, second one is 5%. So what is the meaning of 2%? 2 gram urea in 100 ml solution. In last class I explained, if the percentage are given for particularly osmotic pressure, you should take W by V. Okay, so 2 grams urea in 100 ml solution and 5% is 5 grams of non-electrolyte. We don't know what is non-electrolyte, which is dissolved in where? In 100 ml of again solution, that is aqueous solution. So therefore tell me, here is 2 gram urea 100 ml, here 5 grams of non-electrolyte 100 ml. That means V1 equal to V2. When the V1 equal to V2, so you can use simplest formula, W1 by W2 equal to M1 by W1 by M1 equal to W2 by M2. W1, let us take, I'll take W by M. This is a, yeah, you can take non-electrolyte urea, non-electrolyte take, which is equals to W by M. I'll take urea. Finish. Then substitute the values W. So non-electrolyte is 5 grams divided by M1. We have to actually calculate molar mass, which is equals to W urea. It is 2 divided by 60. So bring M here. Okay. 1, tell me. M equal to 150 grams per mole. Remember, molar mass is always grams per mole. Okay, so these kind of questions are very, very commonly asking question, percentage questions. Okay, here important is you need to remember, you have to take 2% means it is a W by V. You should consider W by V percentage, not W by W. Okay, so it is about isotonic solution. Next, hypertonic solution. Hyper. So hyper means more pressure, no? The solution which has more osmotic pressure than that of given solution at constant temperature. Therefore, what is hypertonic solution? The solution which has more osmotic pressure than that of given solution. So therefore, the solution which has more osmotic pressure than the given solution, then that is called what? Hypertonic solution. Therefore, for hypertonic solution, can we write pi 1 is greater than pi 2? Because where pi 1 is a osmotic pressure of solution. The osmotic pressure of the solution is greater than the given solution. So pi 1 is greater than pi 2. When pi 1 is greater than pi 2, we also know that pi directly proportional to C. Therefore, C1 also be greater than C2. Therefore, tell me, for hypertonic solution, the molar concentration of solution is greater than the molar concentration of given solution. So therefore, next point, for hypertonic solution, for hypertonic solutions, molar concentration of solution is greater than that of given solution. If the molar concentration is greater than given solution, can we write N1 by V1 is greater than? Yes, N2 by V2 can also be taken. So it is about hypertonic solution. Next, third one is hypotonic solution. Hypo means less, right? Tell me, it is opposite to hypertonic. In case of hypertonic, the solution which has more osmotic pressure than that of given solution. But here is the solution which has less osmotic pressure than that of, yes, the solution which has less osmotic pressure than that of given solution called hypotonic solution. Tell me, for hypertonic solution, pi is or pi 1 is less than pi 2, C1 also less than C2, N1 by V1 also less than N2 by V2. Right, let us see example for isotonic, hypertonic, hypotonic. We all know that 0.9 W by V, NaCl W by V percentage, NaCl in water is called normal saline. Yes or no? Saline water. Okay, so therefore it is actually sodium chloride water. 0.9, it should be percentage, 0.9 W by V percentage only. So 0.9 W by V percentage of NaCl in water is called normal saline. This normal saline is a isotonic with the fluid present in RBC. So we know that RBC, red blood cells, okay, red blood cells having no fluid or not? They are having liquid in the cell. So this is called the fluid present in RBC. So this is also be a same W by V. How much it is? This is also 0.9. It means, yeah, 0.9 W by V NaCl in water is a isotonic with the fluid present in, okay, the fluid present in where? RBC. Okay. Yeah, therefore, tell me. Yeah, blood plasma, na? I don't know. Okay. If it is a blood plasma, so therefore both are isotonic. Right. So therefore suppose there are case 2, 1 and 2. Let's see case 1 and case 2 first. Okay. Case 1. suppose if the sodium chloride in water concentration is greater than 0.9 W by V. Okay, if it is a concentration of NaCl in water is greater than 0.9 W by V, then it is called what? Hypertonic solution. Yes or no? Similarly, if the concentration of NaCl in water is less than 0.9 W by V is called what? This is a hypotonic. It is hypertonic. Okay. Okay, I repeat once again, listen carefully. So we are taking example for isotonic, hypertonic, hypotonic. So for this example taken is normal saline. We all know that saline water. Okay, it is used for intravenous, no, saline, for to get immediate energy, which is of course having glucose also. Nothing but electrolyte. Good. Okay, therefore, so that saline, actually saline is a what? It is a 0.9 W by V NaCl in water, which is called normal saline water. Okay, so this normal saline is a isotonic with the fluid present in RBC. So inside the RBC fluid will be there, that fluid concentration, osmotic pressure and this concentration will be same. These two are isotonic solution. Suppose case 1, if the NaCl in water is greater than 0.9, then the saline water is what called what? Hypertonic solution. Hypertonic solution. If RBC placed in hypertonic solution, just imagine this is a hypertonic solution. In hypertonic solution, if the RBC are placed, red blood cells are placed, whether they will shrink or they swell, they will shrink. Why? Outside concentration is more, inside is less. Therefore, due to osmosis, the fluid or water molecule flow from RBC to outside. From the cell to outside, no. That is called exoosmosis. That means if RBC placed in hypertonic solution undergo exoosmosis and they will shrink. Similarly, case 2, if NaCl in water is less than 0.9, so that is called what? Hypotonic solution. Similarly, let us take it is a hypotonic solution. In hypotonic solution, if the RBC are placed, red blood cells are placed, then inside concentration is more, outside is less, because outside hypo, no, hypo means less concentration, outside is less concentration, inside is more concentration. Then if outside is less, inside is more, what happens? From outside to inside, water will flow. That means RBC will swell. That is called endoosmosis. Right? Therefore, if RBC placed in hypertonic solution, the RBC undergo, that is endona exona, exoosmosis. If RBC placed in hypotonic solution, they undergo endoosmosis. Then RBC placed in, so isotonic solution, that is normal saline, neither they swell or nor shrink. Okay, so this is the one best example for iso and hypertonic solution. Right on. 0.9 W by V percentage, 0.9 W by V percentage of NaCl in water, 0.9 W by V percentage of NaCl in water is called normal saline, which is isotonic with the fluid present in, where? RBC. Case 1. If NaCl in water, concentration is greater than concentration is greater than 0.9, greater than 0.9 called in solution hypertonic solution, hypertonic solution, comma, if RBC placed in such a solution, if RBC placed in such a solution, they will shrink or swell? They will shrink. In bracket exona, endona, in bracket exoosmosis. Next, case 2. If NaCl in water concentration is less than, if NaCl in water concentration is less than 0.9 W by V, called hypotonic solution, called hypotonic solutions, comma, if RBC placed in such a solution, if RBC placed in such a solution, what happened? They swell. In bracket endoosmosis. Okay, take one note. It is important to understand problems. Take one note. Okay, see, if two listen here, if the two non-electrolyte solution having same osmotic pressure, will they have same molar concentration or not? If two non-electrolyte, I am telling about non-electrolyte, if two non-electrolyte having same osmotic pressure, they will be having same molar concentration. Point 1. Next, point 2. If two electrolyte having same concentration, can we expect same osmotic pressure? No. Why? Very good. Particle, yes. It is depends on particle. Therefore, in case of non-electrolyte, we can take the molar concentration of non-electrolyte is equals to osmotic pressure. But in case of electrolyte, because they may undergo dissociation, they may undergo association. When comes to electrolyte, so we need to take particle concentration. If two electrolyte having same particle concentration, can be expected same osmotic pressure, right? So one is non-electrolyte, second one is electrolyte. Okay, right on. First point. If two non-electrolyte having, if two non-electrolyte having same osmotic pressure, can have, if two non-electrolyte having same osmotic pressure can have same molar concentrations, same molar concentration, or nothing but vice versa, same concentrations, same osmotic pressure. Okay, right. One example. 0.1 molar glucose, 0.1 molar glucose at 298 Kelvin can exert 2.5 atm osmotic pressure. 0.1 molar glucose at 298 Kelvin can exert 2.5 atm pressure. What is the osmotic pressure exerted by? What is the osmotic pressure exerted by 0.1 glucose at same temperature? Tell me, what is the answer? It is 2.5. Why? See, that's what, no. If any two solution having, that two non-electrolyte, if two non-electrolyte having same concentration, they can have same osmotic pressure. So therefore, the molar concentration of glucose is a non-electrolyte. Glucose is non-electrolyte, and urea also. One second, we didn't take urea here, sorry. Urea. So 0.1 mole glucose, here 0.1 mole are molar urea. So urea and glucose both are non-electrolyte, right? In case of non-electrolyte, if they have same molar concentration, they must have same osmotic pressure. But condition is what? Same temperature. Temperature must be constant, or it should be same. Therefore, answer is 2.5 atm. Next, one more point. It is in case of non-electrolyte. But in case of electrolyte is different. In case of electrolyte, if the two electrolyte having same ionic concentration will have same osmotic pressure, or if two solution having same osmotic pressure, they will have same ionic concentration, right? Right on. Right. If two electrolyte having same osmotic pressure, if two electrolytes having same osmotic pressure can also have same ionic concentration, which is also called particle concentration, right? So if two electrolyte having same osmotic pressure, they can have same ionic concentration or same particle concentration. Okay. Now for example, take this 0.5 molar NaCl at 298 Kelvin exert 1.5 atm osmotic pressure. 0.5 molar NaCl at 298 Kelvin can exert 1.5 atm pressure. What is the osmotic pressure exerted by? What is the osmotic pressure exerted by 1 molar sucrose solution at 298 Kelvin? 1.5 atm. Very good. Yes or no? Why? So yes, see, in case of NaCl it is electrolyte. In case of electrolyte, we need to calculate particle concentration. So what is the particle concentration? Particle concentration of NaCl is equals to 0.5 into how many total number of particle? Na plus Cl minus, it is 2, which is equals to 1. It means 1 molar particle concentration. In case of non-electrolyte, sucrose is a non-electrolyte. In case of non-electrolyte, we should take only solution concentration. It is also 1 molar. Therefore, if the concentrations are same, osmotic pressure will be same. Answer is 1.5 atm. Okay, next. One more. Okay, suppose here let us imagine there are two solutions. There are two solutions. Their osmotic pressures are pi 1, pi 2. If these solutions are mixed, then what happens? Resultant osmotic pressure. Again, there are two conditions. Condition 1, if the two solution having same solute. Condition 2, if the two solution having different solute. So therefore, let's see first. If two solution having or two solutions, right, take down, two solutions having same solute is mixed. Tell me, it is just like a calculation of molarity. Do you remember? In the calculation of molarity, then two solution having same solute, how do you calculate molarity? Molarity equal to M1V1 plus M2V2 by, yes, here also same. If the two solution having same solutes, you can take pi equal to pi 1 V1 plus pi 2 V2 by V1 plus V2, where pi equal to resultant osmotic pressure. Pi 1, pi 2, so individual solution osmotic pressure, V1, V2, their volumes, V1 plus V2 is total volume. Okay, this is a simple formula to calculate when two solution having same solute. But the important is, if the two solution having different solutes are mixed. So therefore, yeah, two solutions having different solute mixed, then it is pi equal to just pi 1 plus pi 2. Pi equal to pi 1 plus pi 2. But can we write pi equal to pi 1 in the sense C1 into RT? No, because pi equal to CRT. Since pi equal to CRT, you can take pi 1 equal to C1 into RT plus pi 2 equal to C2 into RT. R and T are same condition, the same temperature and R value same. So therefore, now simplify equation. It is a RT common, therefore take RT common, C1 plus C2. This is one equation. If the concentration is given, substitute and you can get answer. Suppose if the number of moles given, we also know that N by V equal to C, right? So therefore, then change the formula, pi equal to RT, let it be common, C1. In place of C1, what we can write? Yes, N1 by V1 plus N2 by V2. If they give number of moles, use this formula. Suppose sometime they will give the percentages. Okay, like 5%, 2%, 3%, two solutions. If the percentage given, what is the meaning of that? Volumes are same. Since if the volumes are same, yes, if V1 equal to V2, so it is a V, it become V, it become V. Okay, take V common, then what it become? Pi equal to RT by V common, then yes, N1 plus N2. If the percentage given, use this formula, important. Next, N1, what is N1 equal to? It is W1 by M1, comma, N2 equal to W2 by M2. So therefore, pi is also equal to RT by V. It is W1 by M1 plus W2 by M2. So these are the different formulas can be used to calculate the resultant osmotic pressure. Next is reverse osmosis. Reverse osmosis, it is also called RO. Okay, take this diagram first. So there are two different chambers. In these two different chamber, one chamber containing solution, other chamber has what? Solvent. Okay, now let us take, this is a compartment containing pure solvent, this compartment containing solution. Now both the compartments are separated by, of course, semi permeable membrane, SPM. Okay. So pure solvent, you can take like water example. Here solution, take sea water. Okay. Now tell me, in last class we have studied about osmosis. Can you tell me, anybody, what is osmosis? It is the spontaneous flow of the solvent molecule from where to where? Solvent compartment to solution, right? So the spontaneous flow of the solvent molecule from the solvent compartment to solution compartment through the semi-permeable membrane is called osmosis. But it is the reverse, no? Reverse barutte. Okay, but the difference is osmosis is a spontaneous. This is not a spontaneous, non-spontaneous. Therefore, in this case, there is a flow of the solvent molecule from where to where? The flow of solvent molecule from solution compartment to solvent compartment through the semi-permeable membrane. But the condition is what? By applying pressure. By applying the pressure where? On solution compartment. By applying the pressure on solution compartment, which must be greater than osmotic pressure. It means, see, it's very simple. Now what happened? Actually, it's supposed to be the solvent flow from where to where? Pure solvent to solution. It has to come solvent side to solution side. This is a spontaneous process. But what we are doing? So actually we are stopping, and we are making reverse. Then what to do? In order to stop, what to do? We have to use pressure. Which pressure? How much pressure? Osmotic pressure. If you use like osmotic pressure, then what happen? Osmosis will stop. Okay, but actually our intention is not to stop osmosis. To stop osmosis, and there should be a flow reverse. Reverse ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. Then what to do? We have to use the pressure which must be greater than osmotic. Suppose if I use pressure less than osmotic pressure, can reverse osmosis possible? No. Only osmosis will stop. There is no osmosis. But if you use pressure which is greater than the osmosis, there is a reverse osmosis takes place. Therefore, how do you define reverse osmosis? The flow of solvent molecule from solution compartment to solvent compartment through the semi-permeable membrane by applying pressure which is greater than the osmotic pressure on solution compartment. It must be used only on solution compartment, so that solvent molecule can move from the solution compartment to solvent compartment through the semi-permeable membrane, which is called reverse osmosis. This is very, very commonly used simple process in all the water purifiers. You might have seen water purifier, majority water, yes, labeled with RO. But ಇತ್ತೀಚೆಗೆ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, RO ಅಂತ, UV ಅಂತ, ಅಲ್ಟ್ರಾ ಫಿಲ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್, UF ಅಂತ, right? Labeled with RO is one of the purification process. In RO process, what happened? Only particularly this process used in the purification of sea water, that is called desalination of sea water. It is used in desalination of sea water, nothing but purification of sea water to get fresh drinking water. Right. In this process, what we do is, so we apply the pressure on side of sea water. When you apply the pressure on the side of sea water, which is greater than osmotic pressure, then water molecule can move from the sea water side into pure water side. Then you will get pure drinking water. Right. So as I told, it is a very simplest and common process. It is used in all water filters. Right. I told you, even many water filters are somehow they are costly because of not machineries, because of not motor and all. It is because of semi-permeable membrane. Here the work of semi-permeable membrane is important. If SPM does not work, there is no purification of water. Whatever water you get in groundwater, that only you will drink. Right? But other than SPM, there are other processes like in water filter, UF, ultrafiltration. Ultrafiltration is nothing but filtering removing the dust particle, removing the small sand particle. If RO is working properly, UF is not required, that is ultrafiltration is not required. Ultrafiltration is actually not required if there is a RO. Right. But if you go in many hotels and all, there will be no RO, there is only ultrafiltration, UF irte. So there will be big chambers will be there, water chambers. In big water filters, water chambers, they do not use RO. RO is actually, it is the finest method. Okay, it is of course costly also. But instead of RO, so in many public utilities, they use ultrafiltration, not RO. Ultrafiltration is just remove only what? Dust or sand, small sand particle, but not this process. Okay, that is UF, ultrafiltration. So therefore, and one more is UV will be there, ultraviolet. So ultraviolet means, so here mission produces ultraviolet radiation. If there is any microorganisms, those can be killed by the ultraviolet radiations. That is for only to avoid the growth of microorganism or coming microorganisms in the water, drinking water. Right. So therefore, this is reverse osmosis. It is very commonly used in purification of sea water. That is called desalination of sea water. Okay, that is reverse osmosis. Is clear? Right. Right done. Up next right, abnormal molar mass of solute. Abnormal molar mass of solute. Okay, we are almost in climax of this topic. Okay, fine. Abnormal molar mass of solute. Now, so far we have studied colligative property. I have been telling you the importance of colligative properties. By using colligative properties, it is possible to calculate, yes, molar mass of the solute accurately. There are many methods, of course. But by using colligative properties, you can calculate the molar mass of the solute accurately, of course. Among this, again osmotic pressure. Osmotic pressure, by using osmotic pressure, you can calculate very accurately. Even compared with RLVP, delta TB, delta TF. So by using osmotic pressure, you can calculate very accurate molar mass. But overall, so by using all the colligative properties, you can calculate the molar mass of the solute accurately. But there are two conditions. It should obey two conditions. Condition 1, when we can calculate molar mass of the solute accurately? If solution is dilute. Yes or no? Tell me, why solution should be dilute? Because colligative properties are applicable for dilute solution. That's what we have written heading. Colligative properties of dilute solution, not concentrated. Therefore, since colligative properties are applicable for only dilute solution, solution must be dilute. If the solution is concentrated, you cannot calculate accurate molar mass. Next, second condition. Second condition, this is also we know. Solute neither dissociate nor associate. If the solute, it should be neither dissociate nor associate. Suppose if the solute dissociate associate, what happened? If the solute dissociate associate, number of particle changes. Obviously, number of particle changes, it may increase, it may decrease. If the number of particle changes, colligative property changes, because colligative properties are directly proportional to number of particle. When colligative property changes, molecular mass also changes, because molecular mass is inversely proportional to colligative property. So therefore, so if these two conditions satisfied, then the molar mass of the solute can be calculated accurately. What are the two conditions? One, solution must be dilute. Second one is solute neither dissociate nor associate. Suppose, okay, let us take if the solution obey these two conditions, of course we can calculate accurate molar mass. But how can you say that all the solution may obey these conditions? Dilute solution, this is in our hand, we can make dilute. But solute should not dissociate, should not associate, is in your hand. Take sodium chloride, tell to sodium chloride that no, don't dissociate. Agalvadu? No. It is a property of sodium chloride, it has to dissociate. No. It doesn't listen to anybody word. Right? That means, so if the solute dissociate, associate, even though you should calculate a molar mass, how? That is, we have two conditions. If the solute dissociate, then how to calculate molar mass? If the solute associate, how to calculate molar mass? Okay, I read conditions there. We'll do it first. Okay, take this two important sentence. One, from the colligative properties, it is possible to calculate. From the colligative properties, it is possible to calculate accurate molar mass of the solute. From the colligative properties, it is possible to calculate accurate molar mass of the solute. Accurate molar mass of the solute if it obey following conditions. If it obey following conditions. Condition 1. What is the first condition? Solution must be dilute. 1. Solution must be dilute. 2. Solute neither dissociate nor associate. Solute neither dissociate nor associate. Next, right? If the solute dissociate or associate, if the solute dissociate or associate, number of particle changes, number of particles changes. As a result, what changes? Colligative property changes. As a result, colligative properties changes and molar mass of the solute also changes. And molar mass of the solute also changes. How? We know that colligative properties directly proportional to number of particles, right? Number of particles. As the number of particle changes, colligative property changes, and molar mass of solute is inversely proportional to, yes, colligative properties. Okay. Next, right? Molar mass of the solute due to dissociation. molar mass of the solute due to dissociation. Okay, now we understood that colligative property changes when the number of particles changes, right? When the number of particles changes, colligative property changes. When colligative property changes, molar mass of the solute changes. Now we want to discuss molar mass of the solute due to dissociation. It means, suppose if the solute undergo dissociation, what happened molar mass? If the solute undergo association, what happened molar mass? Okay, let's see molar mass of the solute due to dissociation. Can you tell me which substance undergo dissociation? The substance like acid, even bases, even salt solutions, etc. undergo dissociation. And the substance like acid, bases, salt solution undergo dissociation and they form number of particles. For example, NaCl. Let us take aqueous NaCl, right? It is dissolved in water, it forms Na plus plus Cl minus. Now actually we have taken 1 mole. 1 mole NaCl it undergo dissociation to form how many moles? 2 moles of particle. That means beginning we have taken 1 mole, actually it gives 2 moles of particle. Then tell me, as the number of particle changes, what happened? Observed colligative property. Observed colligative properties increase or not? Observed colligative property increases. Means actually double, no? Can you take? Here observed colligative property. See, actually we have taken 1 mole, it is a 2 mole. Therefore, observed colligative property will be doubled to that of normal colligative property. Okay, because why it is doubled? Particles are doubled. When the number of particles are doubled, observed colligative property will be doubled to the normal colligative property, right? Then what happened? Observed molar mass. Observed molar mass will be half of the normal molar mass, because colligative property here written, colligative property inversely proportional to, so therefore observed molar mass will be half of the normal molar mass. Okay, for example, can you answer this question? Okay, the molar mass of the sodium chloride. The molar mass of the sodium chloride calculated by colligative property, any colligative property. Tell me, the molar mass of the NaCl calculated by any colligative property will be option A 58.5, option B 58.5 by 2, option C 58.5 into 2, option D none. Second option, because 58.5 by 2, it is half of, no? Because the same reason here written, no? Observed colligative property double agutte hain. When the observed colligative property will be doubled, observed molar mass will be half, because colligative property inversely proportional to molar mass. Therefore, the observed molar mass, or the observed nothing but calculated by colligative property. Therefore, the molar mass calculated by any colligative property will be half of this. Actually, it's supposed to be 58.5 NaCl. It is divided by 2 because it comes half. Okay. Similarly, it is this is what molar mass of the solute due to dissociation. Next is molar mass of the solute due to association. Molar mass of solute due to association. Okay, so generally the substances like acids, carboxylic acid or even benzoic acid, these undergo association in non-polar solvent like benzene. In presence of non-polar solvent benzene, acetic acid, benzoic acid undergo association and they form dimer. For example, you can take acetic acid. Acetic acid undergo association take 2 moles, it undergo association, it form CH3 COOH, it is twice. This is a 2 mole. 2 mole acetic acid gives how many moles? 1 mole, which is called association. Of course, in association it will be like this. 1 acetic acid, another acetic acid like this. Okay, there is a intermolecular hydrogen bonding between 2 carboxylic acids. Okay, it forms a dimer. Fine. So therefore, now tell me, the substance like acetic acid, benzoic acid undergo association in non-polar solvent like benzene. They form the associated molecule, nothing but dimer. Now for example, take acetic acid. 2 moles of acetic acid undergo association, it form 1 mole. Therefore, then tell me, what is the observed colligative property? Observed colligative property will be half of the normal colligative property. Why? Say 2 moles giving 1 mole, right? 2 moles giving 1 mole. It means, so number of particle, decreasing to half, no? We have taken 2 mole. We expect 2 mole will be there. But actually in solution is there 1 mole. Therefore, observed colligative property will be decreases. How much decreases? Half. Observed colligative property will be half, but actually we don't want colligative property. We want molecular mass. Then what happened? Observed molar mass doubled. Observed molar mass will be double to the normal molar mass. For example, question is like this: the molar mass of acetic acid calculated by osmotic pressure or any colligative property. Okay, so it is 60 B, 60 by 2 C, 60 into 2 or none. It is C. So therefore, observed molar mass will be double to the normal or theoretical molar mass, because here what happened? Due to association, colligative property become half, molar mass become doubled. Due to dissociation, colligative property become doubled, normal, that is molar mass become half. Okay, so take down. Time idea.